There she go.
There we go.
There she goes. She already here. 10, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Settle. Da-da-da-da. What's going on, everybody? It's your main man with the game plan, Corey Giovanni, and you are tuned in to another episode of Technically Speaking News.
Woo-hoo.
Yep. So look, today, Bob, you supposed to have my back. You supposed to say it.
My bad. Here we are, technically speaking. Thank you for tuning in today, where we are giving you news that you can use.
You already know. And today we have our guest. Okay, let me do this right. All right. So, there's back in the day, because we talked about this a little bit when we were talking about video games last week, and what video gamers in the industry people do. So there's people that create sounds, and sometimes these sounds changes the whole feel of a vibe, right? If you remember A Different World, that was and I got some notes. A Different World was the intro of A Different World, I should say. Where my shows at? I just had it over here. Anita Baker. I know my parents love me. And that one. And then we also had
Anita Baker.
That wasn't who was it? It says that's why you can't just chat GBT. I'm telling you, you can't. But because I got a whole list of them. All right. Yo Home to Bel Air. That was the name of the song of the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. That was by Will Smith. Everybody knew that song. Something y'all didn't know was the Martin theme song was reworked by Naughty by Nature. Mm-hmm. And then Living Single, Queen Latifah, We Are Living Single, right? Mm-hmm. All these songs made a memory in our childhood, in our upbringing, right? But what some may not know, these songs are not just singles. They go into a specific category. I'm going to let this young lady introduce herself because she knows all about that and this and more. And that's one of the reasons why we got her on the show. Her name is Brycsyn Hampton with Siren Sounds, right?
Siren
Syncs. I told you can't trust ChatGPT for everything. Brycsyn, come on in and talk to us. Tell us about your stuff.
Well, hello. My name is Brycsyn Hampton. ChatGPT got that right. And I am the founder and CEO of Siren Syncs, which is a boutique music placement agency that specializes in urban music, especially with Black women and women of color. So it's my job to find artists and to make sure that their sound and their music is placed where it needs to be.
Hey, so see, we got the right person on. Wait a minute, that was Ray Charles. We got the right one back. I didn't write it. But see, and that's
very good intro. Very good intro. Thank you for introducing yourself and what you do. Siren Sings. I love that. So siren like a mermaid, right? Because the mermaids would lure the men by the sound of their voice.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that?
You're right on point with that.
Thank you. And FYI, Corey,
I never heard of that before.
Corey, mermaid in Spanish is sirena. It's siren with an A at the end. Mm-hmm. An A at the end of the word, sirena.
Oh, okay. Y'all got me.
There's levels to this.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
I got you though. I know where you're going.
Kool-Aid. Because all right, so I've worked with Brycsyn and Diesel, her husband, which you know, shout out to him. Excellent, superb producers. Shout out to you guys for giving an independent artist like me a shot to work with you guys. But tell the people who don't know about what your specialty is, because you said that, you know what I'm saying, you specialize in music and sync for women of color. But give them more detail about it. Talk to them.
Okay, so I'll give you the clip notes because it's a lot.
Yes.
I have been in the music industry for over 20 years. I know I don't look that old, but I'm a little old. I'm seasoned. I've worked as an artist. I worked as a photographer. I worked as a creative director, executive assistant. I worked mostly behind the scenes. especially with people like Malik Youssef of Good Music.
Hey, Bad Kids. That's my boy.
In songwriting, and through the course of my career, I have helped lots of independent artists learn how to navigate the business, learn how to brand themselves, learn how to do all the background paperwork that nobody likes to do, all those type of things, and kind of navigate the industry without gatekeeping. So nice. That's what I've spent my career doing, as well as, you know, helping out where I can with the Bad Kids and songwriting. And shout out to Malik.
Yep. Shout out to Malik Youssef, 8-time Grammy winner. You know what I'm saying? Big bro. Definitely a good soul. Now, I mentioned a couple things in the beginning. Now, all these people that I mentioned, they were major artists, right? Mm-hmm. But what some people don't know is there are a lot of independent artists that benefit in similar categories, right? Can you elaborate on that?
What type of categories? For Sync in particular, or
for Sync in particular? Yeah.
Okay. So the avenues right now are wide open for all artists to get into music placement. And I know you guys probably see tons and tons of people on Instagram trying to sell you a course and how to get your music in this and how to get your music in that. There's no shortcuts. Sync is not anything that's new. It's been around since the invention of movies and TV and film. There's always been somebody that does the score, that does the soundtrack, that is making the music that we're listening to, even on when we watch the NFL and they have the hip hop beats in the background where they're talking. Somebody is making that music. Yes. And it's not always the big stars that we know. Of course, we know when Kendrick Lamar's song comes on an ad. We know when they play a Beyonce track on a TV show. But in between all of those big names, there's other music that's being played, and that is made by independent artists.
Right. What I've learned, and I'm Bobby. Bobby, feel free to interject if you got questions. But
shout out to those independent artists that are out there rising and grinding, because it's not a get rich quick thing. Everybody wants that success really quickly. Bryce, I know you're new to this and we don't know each other, but one of the phrases I've coined is the 3 S's to success. Mm-hmm. And this is going to fall right in line with what it is that you're talking about. And just really quickly, like the 3 S's, the first one is salvation, having a relationship with the Lord, knowing exactly where and who your provider is as you go along into the next steps is crucial, because it's going to require sacrifice and there's going to be a struggle in order to achieve what that success is going to look like. And while it may look different to everybody, and it don't always mean you got millions of dollars in your pocket. I don't got millions, and I find myself extremely successful in being able to market that and use that in your branding initiatives and stuff to help further those independent artists in their careers and stuff. So shout out to them, because it ain't an overnight success. It takes
nothing is
serious
overnight.
grinding.
Alicia Keys said, "I'm a 10-year overnight success."
Yeah.
I love her voice.
Yeah,
man, Alicia Keys used to be my crush back in the day. Till I met my wife. Well, no, till my wife decided to date me. But yeah.
But I like artists like her, because she came in and she plays the piano very well. Yeah. And so she brought her own music to that. People who are able to play an instrument and sing, that's talent.
Yeah.
She does it on a large scale too. So yeah.
I like to say that in this industry, especially, there are those that are skilled, there are those that are gifted, and there are those that are talented. Pretty much anybody can learn a skill. You know, talent is something that you're born with. And then the gift takes all 3 of those things and just takes it to a whole other level. Those are the ones that, speak to our souls. That's the music that we hear that's haunting. And so I tell people that, it's not an accident. So you get out what you put in. So even if you are an independent artist, you might never become a name that everybody knows in their home, but you can become an artist that loves what they're doing and they make money while they do it. And there are other ways to be an artist without being on the stage or being on the video or being, on a, global platform.
Right.
You don't necessarily need that spotlight.
Although spotlight in the future is good, because that gets you back to touring. Because I'm seeing all, my generation of folks, you see the gray beard, they back to touring. You know what I'm saying? They rocking houses, they rocking bells, if you know what I mean. So I appreciate the fact that, like you said, like when artists create music, it speaks to their soul. And sometimes they're not the person who you see, behind the scenes. But their music and it's like Maya Angelou says, you may not know the part. Wait a minute. You may not remember what they said, but they will always remind you how they made you feel, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And think about it. If you listen to R.I.P. Theo and the Cosbys, right? When you hear the Cosby soundtrack, it make you think about, in this season, obviously, Malcolm Jamal Warner, who we lost, right? When you hear Cheers, right? You know what I'm saying? I want to go where everybody knows your name. I may not be in the right key, but I know that song. You know what I'm saying? This music gives you the time capsule to go back in time to feel a certain type of way. And with sync music, I've had some success, and every success that I've had with it, it was always something that I created that made somebody had a good feeling. And I think that is very important to those who says, you know what, I'm gonna go all in with this writing, whether I get signed or not, but I want to make something that's gonna last forever. And then you get a song that touches people's heart from a TV show. And then you get some theme songs that you can't get out your head. Think about it. Bad boys, what you gonna do? The person who wrote that did not know that Will Smith and Martin Lawrence was gonna take that and put that to the big screen. That person probably don't. I mean, they gotta be. Bad Boys came out like the show. Cops came out like in the early 90s, and the first Bad Boys came out in the late 90s, and now we have 30 something odd years later, you have that song playing
still hot
and it's in the movies and it's on the Netflix. Do those people who wrote that song, do they get a portion of whatever?
Yeah, I believe so. They'll get royalties every single time that song is played.
Right.
And that's the main thing is that when we talk about independent artists, I think we get caught up in trying to capture what everybody is doing in the moment in time. And so I find that a lot of people, they always say, well, I want to own my masters, I want to own my publishing, but they don't really know what that means. They don't always copyright or trademark their names, their image, their words, any of that stuff. They sign deals with producers that, they don't own the music that they're singing or rapping to. I get a lot of pushback from people when we say that, as a sync agency, we take the publishing on only the synced song. So we can have a song in our catalog that never makes any money. If it gets a placement, then we take the publishing. That's how we get paid. But since we're not exclusive, you can take that song and you can release it on your own project. You can release it on streaming. You can release it wherever, and you can earn that publishing if you're your own publisher. And so I find that talking with a lot of independent artists, they don't understand the nuances that go into the legalities behind music. So with Siren Syncs, I try to educate everybody on my roster. We work as a team. We're collaborative. I take what they know and give them a boost. And I still do that, in consulting and stuff when I do that for other artists that aren't necessarily on my roster.
Right. Now, when you say consulting, what you pretty much do is you take an artist, right? And then what?
I have a background, like I said, in A&R and creative direction. And so I always tell people, I can't make you a star, but I can make you shine a little bit brighter. So when I talk about consulting, it's whatever that client needs at that moment in time. They could be hiring me just to come out and supervise their video shoot. And I'm making sure that everything looks like it's money. I'm making sure that they're not ashy. I'm making sure that their clothes are fitting them properly, that the lighting on them is doing good, that their movements are not awkward. So you're doing that type of thing. Sometimes people hire me just to come in and give them a game plan on the steps that they need to take to get their music ready for a release. I have clients that come in and they need help finding managers. They need help finding stylists. They want me to help them sit down and actually interview people, vet people, things like that. There are lots of different things that go into being an artist that a lot of people don't really understand. They just see the cool part. Let's go to the studio. Let's go, drop this record. Let's do this. They see all of the glitz, but they don't see all of the things that go behind the scenes.
Are you in Los Angeles?
I am in Atlanta.
Oh, you're in Georgia. Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Been to Georgia a couple times. Oh, ATL.
And
Been there
nothing
a couple
wrong with
times.
ATL.
Hot as all get out here this week, so don't come to Atlanta this week. It's like 100 degrees.
No, I'll be in Colorado in a couple of weeks. So
I'm Cali, so I ain't going nowhere near y'all. It's good over here. It's good over here. But back to what you're saying, that makes a lot of sense because I noticed the clips, right? This record label that they were tied to, they jumped off of them because of certain scrutinies and situation, and then they went. I'm not sure if they signed independent to another label or if they signed their own selves. I'm not sure about their work ethic. But what you said something real key. It's about an artist rollout, right? It's like how they look when they're putting the project together, but they giving people bits and pieces. So as a consultant, or do you give them some type of like guidance on like, nah, you shouldn't put this song out because they don't go with songs over here? Or what type, say for instance, if one of our viewers say, I want to hire Brycsyn because I have an EP they want to roll out, what type of services would they be able to get from you guys?
Honestly, it depends on their budget.
Okay.
I have a team that I call in. I have guys that do just marketing. I have guys that know the legal business. I have guys that do PR. I have people that, because you can't do everything. And so I sit down with a team and we go over their project and we look at what's strong and what's not. We look at their production. We look at their songwriting skills. We look at different things. Sometimes artists live in a vacuum. So they're in the studio. They think everything that comes out of that studio is wonderful. It's great. It's awesome. It's amazing. Right. They have a lot of people around them that are saying, hey, that's wonderful. That's great. That's awesome. And that's amazing. They don't have someone to say, okay, that production value on that one isn't as good. The mixing and mastering on that isn't as good. You know what? Those lyrics, they don't really make sense. You know what? For 4 bars, you used Kendrick Lamar's bars. You're going to have to credit him as a songwriter on your thing and to get it cleared before you can release this thing. You know what? Have this sample over here that you haven't cleared that you need to get cleared before you drop your single. All right, you don't have a publisher. Do you know that when you drop this on DistroKid or whatever, they're going to be your publisher. They're going to be the ones collecting that money. Just different things that a lot of times as an artist who is trying to wear all of the hats, things get slipped between the cracks. And then when you're talking about marketing and promotion, marketing can be very, very expensive. And so we always want to come up with a strategy for artists that work within their budget. What is realistically going to give you the most traction? Do you even have any fans? Are you just sending out music into the void? My husband does promotions here in Atlanta, and his favorite go-to when a client says, hey, I want to do some shows, how many fans do you have? How many people can you bring besides yourself? And they'd be amazed that they can't even get their mom or their dad or their cousins to come out. If you can't even get 10 people to come out, what is the point of going on tour?
That's rough.
That's
true. That truth
and it's
matters.
rough. It's rough, but it's reality. I would rather tell you that than have you waste your money going out here and booking these clubs. Because a lot of times venues aren't going to book you if you don't have a following, if they don't know who you are. They're going to say, okay, we're going to do this as a regular event. So it's like if I go rent out a club, I have to pay the club owner to rent out their club. I get the door, they get the bar. I have to at least guarantee that there's going to be people in there that's going to be drinking at the bar. If I show up to do a show and there's 2 people there, I'm out of money because now I not only have to pay for the venue, there might be a fee for me not making the minimum bar. Yeah. So those are the things as artists you have to really look at, and people don't see that.
Right. Side note, our other host is chiming in real quick. He's about to jump on. Dr. Pooh. Dr. Pooh, how you doing, brother?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey.
Hello.
Right.
Sorry I'm late.
No worries. Thank you. Right on time for yourself.
Awesome. Just getting the levels adjusted here.
No worries. So that's very important because I hear a lot. I now know by working with the Bad Kids and working with you as well behind the scenes that talent is only going to get you so far. Because I've met a lot of talented music artists, producers, and put out music too that sounds good that I still have on like my Spotify playlist when I do listen to it. But it's like you said, it's like the rollout wasn't right. Some songs just didn't fit that project, and then levels of the sound wasn't accurate. You know what I mean? That is very important because it's like wearing two different shoes. They fit, but they don't match.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Sometimes you need an outside source to come in and kind of critique you, because here you are thinking you're about to take the spotlight, and like you said, drop that new single that you think is going to be a platinum hit, and it's not.
I mean,
Sometimes
I think you always need an outside source. That is why places like Coca-Cola, the big name brands, before they roll out a new product, they do product testing. They bring in people to say, hey, how does this taste? Does this taste good? Would you buy this? They go, they do the demographics. That takes money, right? But they're putting this money into a product because they want that product to make billions of dollars. So they're not just going to throw something out at us. Even if we personally don't like the new Coke flavor, somebody tested it. There were thousands of people somewhere that like that flavor, and there are millions of people that are going to buy it. So you have to have that same type of mentality with music. You don't want to let it overshadow your artwork or your artistry, but you want to be aware if, like our current climate, drill, it's probably seen the last days. So why would I drop a drill album?
True. Yeah, no, for real. And I like drill. I like the, but the problem with that is, like you said, it's like it got to be properly rolled out, right? Because if it's not, then it was a hit when you made it, but there is a 6-month theory about music, and I've learned that from you guys. Like what we're listening to now was made 6 months ago, right? So that music right there, if it's not really like heavily driven by a heavily known name, it's not as timeless. So everybody else is already making something for the next season of music. And am I somewhat accurate on that?
Más o menos.
Okay.
Music.
Educate me. You are the professional, Bree.
Music is subjective, and likes come and go. I think that the mistake that a lot of artists make is that they are followers. They, like I said, they live in a vacuum. They listen to the music that they like. They listen to the artists that they like. Unfortunately, I've worked with artists, and I ask them, who's your biggest influence? And they say themselves. They don't listen to other music. They don't go into the crates and listen to old school music or country music or whatever other type of music. They have no inspiration. They don't read books. They don't go to museums. They don't have any cultural experience that makes their music speak to the people or give them a voice. And people pick up on that. So if you're just rapping about what everybody else is rapping about, if you're just singing about what everybody else is singing about, and you don't have that lived in experience to give it authenticity, people aren't stupid. We pick up on that. And so it might be hot for a minute, but it's not a timeless song. And I think that we have moved so far away as artists and artistry from trying to create authentic music that is timeless to let's just churn out something so we can get a quick buck right here. Or this is what got this person on, so it's going to be what gets me on. And we can't really operate within that mindset.
Yeah. So no pimping the passion. Don't pimp your passion. You know, take your time with it. Take your time.
I got a question. What are some things artists like that can do to think outside of the box and create something different?
It's their life. If you spend, so say, let's like music to dating. Okay. You're saying you can't find anybody to date. There's no good men out there, you know, whatever. And you spend 90% of your time at work and at home. How are you going to meet any men? If you only go to the same bars, the same clubs, you hang out with the same people, you're going to have the same type of men that you meet. So now that becomes your reality. Your reality is there's no men out there. There's no good men out there. They're all this, they're all that. They're all baby daddies. Why? Because everybody you know is baby daddy. If you don't expand that pool into what you're looking for, you're always going to get what you're getting. And like I said, sometimes music can become a vacuum, especially for artists that are hell-bent on a struggle mentality. Like, I got to make this music. I got to get out here. This is going to make me famous. This is going to make me rich. There's no love of the art in that. There's no love of actually making music. And that is what makes you stand out as an artist. It's not about copying what somebody else did. It's not about saying, oh, well, Drake dropped a sing album, so I'm going to sing on this track. Oh, well, Beyonce dropped a country album, so I'm going to go jump into country. And you have no respect and love for country music. You have no respect and love for songwriting. You have no respect and love for any of that. So it kind of, it leaves you where you are. So my advice to artists, and I tell artists, is go listen to other music. Go be inspired. Go to open mic nights. Actually engage with other artists. Read books. watch television,
Yeah.
go out to cultural events. If you're not living, then what are you writing about? And some of our most timeless things are things that mirrored our life. Why do we love Mary J. Blige? Because it seems like her song is about me. Because she's had heartbreak, right? Yes. Why do we love Tupac? Why can we listen to Tupac right now? Because he was out there living his life. Not only that, he was intelligent and he was reading and he was cultural and he knew things. He wrote poetry. He went to an arts academy. You know, he wasn't always a quote unquote thug.
Right. He was.
I think it would be surprising in the music business finding out like about some of the rappers or artists that we like. They're actually not just talented; they are educated. Mm-hmm. One rapper that I love has like a bachelor's in like engineering, and I was like, "I'm sorry, what?"
2 Chainz? No, hold on. I'm sorry.
No, Lil Wayne.
Cardi B has a bachelor's in political science.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. You know, if they're not educated, I mean, Megan Thee Stallion has a degree. If they don't have a degree, then they're self-educated, and you can tell that because you know, no matter what you're doing. Even if you're doing a podcast and you're talking about pop culture, if you're not paying attention to pop culture, how are you talking about pop culture?
Our other co-host said, "Talk that shit, Bree." Because me and him, we did music back in the day. Matter of fact, I'm still on it, but he's pivoted. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, like you're right. It's like you gotta expand your horizon. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Dr. Poole, who, you know what I'm saying, I would like to call him like a pool engineer, right? It's like you know how to deal with, you know what I'm saying? You deal with certain type of pools, Bobby. You know what I'm saying? You also have a water mitigation. So there's different type of houses you got to study before you go into that, you know what I'm saying, property. Same thing with, you know what I'm saying, podcasting. Sometimes we're in person, sometimes we're online, but it's a different feel and you got to know exactly what you're doing. So I would say you got to know your target audience. Am I somewhat in that vein, driving in there?
I think that, you know, there's always the question is, does art imitate life or does life imitate art? There's definitely a blurred line there. So if you're not living your life, how are you creating art? And life is art. You know, you can't create a movement in a vacuum.
I got that plug too. Blurred lines.
Do you think that there's ever an age limit where someone should stop trying to pursue the music industry?
I think those are self-imposed limitations. And it's really, you know, not to be funny, but it's really on Black music that we put that on. You're too old to rap. You're too old to sing. You're too fat. You're too Black. You're too light skin. You can't do this. Nowhere else. You can be 80 years old and still be singing country music as a country singer. You know, Madonna just went on tour.
Wow.
Yeah, but Madonna's not hot.
You can go into bar. You can go
George Strait just did a concert here.
Yeah, you can go to any bar in America and you will see a singer, and they will be any age group. You can go to a rock bar right now somewhere in America, and there's a rock band that is singing their heart out, and they could be in their 50s, 60s, 70s. There's no age limit. If you have a dream, if you have a passion for something, you can do it till the wheels fall off.
Yeah. And you can even start until the wheels fall off, right? And when I say
don't break your hip. But you know, and as you get older, you know, your topics change. And just look at Jay-Z. We watched Jay-Z go from, you know, all this mess in the hood to when he dropped 444 and even the Carter album talking about grown people stuff. So your topics might change, you know, but the love of that artistry is there. Killer Mike dropped the album. You know, LL Cool J and them, they're coming back out. They're dropping albums. They're not going to
like LL Cool J.
LL Cool J is not going to jump on top of a table and sing "I'm bad." He's going to have other things to talk about because he's lived his entire life, and so now he has new things to talk about. You know.
Yeah, but I'm noticing you're mentioning a lot of people who have already made it. My question is more for people who haven't made it and they're in their 40s, 50s, and they're still trying to make a name for themselves. Do you think that there's a limit for someone who hasn't made it but have been trying for like 15, 20 years and they're just
it depends on what your definition of made it is. What is your definition?
I guess doing more than like small shows
that are in their 60s and they're background singers and they're doing what they love. They are singing and they might not be Beyonce on the stage, but they're making 6 figures just getting on stage every night singing for somebody else and they're making their money. There are, like I said, are people that are in sync that are 60s and 70s, and they're producers and they're making money making music. So you
That's the
have to
beauty of music, right? It's like passion.
Yeah, you
As
have to
long as you
define
got the passion for it.
what made is.
Yeah. Because for me, like I was in music, I just feel like now that I'm older, I don't have as much time to dedicate to try and travel and do the things that a lot of people need to do in order to get their name out there and acquire some level of success. And so, yeah, that's encouraging for me and folks my
I
age.
would
You know,
not
like
say
we ain't made it yet, but we can. If we got a love for music and that passion,
you gotta
never
look for
stop,
it, you gotta
man.
do it. And it really depends on what your idea of success is, and if you want to have a career out of it versus if it's something that you're passionate about and you enjoy doing. So you have to be really truthful and honest with yourself. And you're gonna have to have people around you that are truthful and honest with you. Because I've seriously sat in rooms and listened to people and said, this should just be a hobby. You need to get a day job. It doesn't mean you're too old. It doesn't mean that, you know, it's too late. It just means this might not be the thing for you.
Right.
And you could be in your 20s and it might not be the thing for you. You could be 60 and it might not be the thing for you. I think that we focus so much on success being material and how many people follow us and how many people do this and how many people do that, that we get lost and we don't love the thing that we say that we love anymore.
Mm-hmm. And you know, I'm gonna put on the Gmo hat because he's not here. Gmo would say, you know what I'm saying? He would says, doing what you love. I'm gonna paraphrase. He would say, doing what you love, for the rest of your life isn't work. It's just a hobby, so to speak, because of the fact that shit don't pay bills unless you actually in that area where you making money. You know, and I kind of understand where he came from at that, because of the fact that Gmo, I managed him like in the 2009 2010 year, and I promised to God I thought Gmo was gonna be the next thing smoking out of California. He was good because he performed in Korea, he performed out here, he performed a lot of other places in America. The only thing about it is, it's like when life kicks in, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I love this, but I got bills to pay. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I think why I'm glad you brought the sync, you know what I'm saying, subject to light, because there's people who can say, okay, I can't tour, but I know I got this hot ass song that probably can do something with. Let me go ahead and reach out to, you know what I'm saying, Siren Sync. I say that right? See, I ain't got to chat GPT no more. Siren Sync, and see if this is something that would meet their criteria, where it may be in the next Bad Boy movie, or it may be in the next, you know, NFL commercial. And then I can generate some income while I'm doing XYZ over here.
Mm-hmm. I would tell people.
Quick question. I hate to interrupt.
Sorry.
Hey, real quick, how's my camera? Because on my side, it looks like I'm slow and jumping. Is everything okay? Is the feedback too slow on my end?
Yeah, no, you good. If you was, I would have messaged you. You good?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Just asking. Sorry.
But yeah, Bree, back to what I was saying. Like you can be a double agent in life with that, right? You know what I'm saying? Make music in this particular for Sync, because obviously it didn't hit off like you had to do, and then life be life, so you have to go handle life. But you got this catalog of music that you know is fire, that you've toured with. You can just say, you know what can we do? What can Siren Syncs do for me?
So when artists come to me, they do come with a catalog, right? They have music that they've made over the course of their career, or they just made, or whatever. And so we sit down and we go through the music and we decide if it's syncable. And that has a lot to do with technical more than quality. Is it too long? Is it too short? Does it have a producer shout out in it, which is a no-no? Does it have uncleared samples in it? Is the sound quality good? Has it been mixed and mastered properly? You know, those technical things can really hit or make it or break it for an artist. Not only that, we're talking about content. What are you singing about? Is this something that will resonate with mainstream artists? Is it something that only has a small niche? Is it something that nobody really wants to listen to as much as you might have put your heart and soul into it? And then we go through your catalog, and then we put that into a library, and then those libraries get pitched to music supervisors, and those supervisors can go through that library, and it's completely up to them what they're choosing. We also make sync ready music, we know what's going to happen for the fall. So we know that we have clients that are looking for this type of music. So we send out briefs and we say, I need you to start creating this type of music. NFL season is coming. That's one of our biggest things. We have contracts with CBS. And so we'll say, we need bumpers, we need highlights, we need highlight reel music. And then those are very, very specific. And you have to be able to follow directions because they have a time limit on them. They have, what they want in them. If they want a band in it, if they want it to sound big, if they want it to sound small. And as a producer or even an artist, you have to be able to put your ego aside and say, I'm going to make what they're asking me to make, because then you're more likely to be placed than if you say, well, okay, I'm gonna see these as guidelines, but I'm gonna kind of do my own thing over here. And then you wonder why you never get placed. The same thing is for singer-songwriters. You might have 60 or 70 songs because you've dropped 12 albums, right? Supervisors don't care how many Spotify listeners you have. They want to know if your particular song fits with the feel and the mood of the scene that they are casting for right in that moment. And if they called me and they say, I want a 90s style R&B song with a female lead, it needs to give me those good go-to cookout vibes, right? And I tell all my artists, this is what I need, and I need it in a week, right? Go through your current catalog, send me what you think matches that. And if you're in the studio, make something that you think that will do that. And we throw it to the music supervisor. If you come back to me and you have something that totally doesn't fit that, what am I supposed to do with that? And like I said, I tell people all the time, sync and music placement is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And we all hear the stories of, oh, so-and-so got $10,000 for a placement. So-and-so got this for a placement. But you never hear how long they had to work to get that. And then you never hear how many songs they pitched that didn't get picked before they got that. So I tell people, it's just like your music career. You have to invest the time. You have to invest the energy. You have to invest yourself into it. It's not a quick fix. It's not going to be an instant moneymaker. It's not something you might be able to pay your rent with. But what it will do with every placement that you get, you're building up your royalties, and those royalties will pay out over time. And so now it becomes a passive income stream.
Right.
That's good to know.
Go ahead, Bobby. Go ahead.
No, I just said that's good to know. That's a good amount of just a good amount of knowledge. I know in the beginning, Brie, you had mentioned gatekeeping. One of the worst things that we see even in the cyber industry, the tech industry that I'm in, we see people do the same thing. People are older and they don't want to share the knowledge or wisdom because they feel like they're going to be replaced, versus spreading that knowledge and wisdom onto others to make the team better, make it grow better. And so not gatekeeping just shows just the type of emotional maturity that it takes to be able to say, hey, I see the talent and the gift, like you said, and the skill that you have. And because of that, I'm going to share the knowledge that I have to help you become a better artist. And so I applaud you for bringing your subject matter expertise into the artistry of music. So good job on you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Now, this is a very important topic that we have been discussing, but I do want to pivot because we have another subject to talk about, which is black, like the black art topic that we have. I put it on our agenda and I'm trying to pull it up. I was trying to be smooth about it. So, but I got it right here. And it's very important because art is timeless, right? When we think of art, we think of Basquiat, we think of Van Gogh, we think about all these people, right? But black art is under attack in so many ways. Can you elaborate on those things about black art, Brycsyn? Because this is something that's near and dear to your heart.
Yes. So we have most of us weren't aware about a lot of things, especially with country music, until somebody like Beyonce puts it on a platform. A lot of our contributions, not only to art but to America, have been erased or censored, or not shared. And art happens to be one of those things. And it's not just for Black people; it's for all Black and brown people. We create so much art. We create so much space for creativity. And a lot of times it is appropriated, it's used, and no credit is given to the people that, paved that way and forged that way for us. And it's true with country, it's true with house music, electronic music, trap music. All this stuff was created by Black creators, and it gets mainstreamed, and then the story changes. It's like, let's hide the Black creators and put this new face in front of it to make it palatable for other people. It's like Elvis Presley. Every song that he did was somebody else's music. Even the dance moves that he did were somebody else's dance moves. He was named the king of rock and roll when really he's the king of appropriation. He stole that stuff. But to make it more palatable for the audience that they wanted it for, they had to hide those true creators behind that. The same thing with country music. We want to say that we're so progressive, but this current administration has shown us that we have not progressed as much as we would like to progress. And so we talk about rock and roll, we talk about these different music forms, and they are all thanks to the people here that were brought here against their will, that the descendants of slavery that made these creations, that shared these life experiences, that created this entire genre. But because you cannot welcome them wholly in your heart, you have to take what they created and put a white face on it. And so it's not anything that's new. It's just something that we all need to be aware of. And when you see something, you need to say something. And if you know something, you need to share it with people. Being in the music industry, especially showing my age, from the 90s on up, women were only allowed in the room as video vixens. We were supposed to be eye candy. We weren't supposed to be smart. We weren't supposed to have our own opinions. Even when we were artists like Salt and Pepper or, Queen
MC
Latifah.
Light. Oh, MC Light, right? Smart woman.
They wanted to silence them and sexualize them and not give them a true voice and a true allowing them to be themselves, especially working behind the scenes. So I've been in rooms where I've been told, here's your water, here's your seat, just be quiet, we'll handle everything. Why? Because they don't want to hear anything from you. They don't want you to have an opinion. They don't want you to speak out. They want you just to be in the room so they can say, we're diverse. See, she's sitting right there. Or we have women that are okay with this because there's a woman right here. And so when we talk about the silencing of art, that's what I'm talking about. It's being in those rooms, but still not being allowed to talk. And you're only allowed in those rooms because they have a agenda that they want to push, and they want to make it seem like everybody in the room is agreeing with them. The reason why I made Siren Sings, especially for Black women, is because we are always the vibe. We're always the vibe, but we're never allowed in the room. The industry loves us. They love us so much. They want to talk like us. They want to dress like us. They talk about our hair. They talk about the way we dress. They talk about the way we talk. They borrow that and they put it on white face, or they allow one Black person on the screen to do that. And then at the same time, you get soundtracks from people that aren't us. Yeah. And that's erasure, whether you want to admit it, it's not. And then, when we push back towards that, they say, well, music is universal. Music is universal. And if music is universal, then you should have no problem letting us in the universe.
That's deep. I like that.
Do you think this is something that's just localized here in America, or you think this is a problem around the world?
I think that I'm American, so I live in America. I can only speak from an American experience. I think it's heavily done here in America. But because America, our culture is global, we set the trend for a lot of different countries. They listen to our music, they watch our movies, they watch our television shows. And so they are seeing in real time, what they think is the current culture and what's supposed to be cool and what's supposed to be trending. I mean, and I think it happens. Look at K-pop. K-pop ain't nothing but R&B.
I'm telling you, when I heard BTS, I was like, okay. But when I saw BTS, I was like, okay.
I mean, not to take away from their creativity, not take away from their artistry, but they're borrowing heavily from African American Black culture, and it's not given, it's accolades. We talk about Afropop. I love Afropop. I love all of that. But they're still pulling heavily from R&B music. They're pulling heavily from 80s and 90s R&B music, and they remix it and put it in their songs. But when we play it, then we're appropriating their stuff. So it's kind of like, there has to be a way that we can all appreciate everyone's contributions and still give a nod to where we got it from.
Yeah, that's very important. Very important. Man, you took me back when you said K-pop because everybody been to karaoke, right? Everybody been to karaoke, and then sometimes when you hear the K-pop version of the song that you want to sing, you like, this don't sound like G thing, but I'm gonna do the G thing. I know, you know what I'm saying?
I still have yet to listen. I still have yet to listen to some K-pop music, and I won't, man. I saw this Netflix video. They got a movie out on Netflix or some shit like that. Some series, some K-pop series or whatever. Is this the new generation? Because honestly, I understand why the new generation isn't coming up with anything original, because it's hard for them to have original thoughts.
We live in a world that is very much you have 2 seconds to tell me something before I swipe left. And you also have to remember that K-pop is manufactured. It's manufactured by a huge machine that interchanges those. They pop out those singers interchangeably. So if somebody ages out, if somebody doesn't follow the rules, if somebody gets pregnant, if somebody has a baby on them, somebody gets married, they can just switch them out and put the next person in. It's a machine. So,
oh, wow.
And it's a machine that takes music that has been internationally popular, and then they curate it for their particular listeners. And then, of course, the American kids, they say, oh, that's so cool. That's something new to them. And so they jump on the K-pop phase. It's the same. It's the same as like Pokemon trends. Pokemon.
I wasn't ready for that.
I mean, Pokemon's been around forever. They just recreate it for each generation. And so each generation, like I have kids now, and they're 12 and 9, and they think that they invented Pokemon. It's like, dude, I was collecting Pokemon cards when I was your age. It's not new. But to them, it's new.
Yeah. To them, it's new.
You got to catch them all.
Yeah.
Surprised how long that thing's been around. What, 30 years now?
If it ain't broke, you don't fix it. I mean, what's more simple than having cards that kids collect and now they can trade them and they can play with them? I mean, there's whole comic book stores here in Georgia that have Pokemon tournaments, and it's grown ass people and kids sitting there playing Pokemon.
Here too. Yeah. I go and gather in these spots, grown folk who are trading out magic cards, talking crap to one another. I'm like, oh.
But that's community building. So I don't knock it.
We can't knock community building because I truly believe community
ain't my cup of tea.
Yeah, but
sometimes
you know
it's toxic.
Because we have the parenting topic that I want us to touch in, because we're breaking off at we got to drop off at in the next 20 minutes. But the parenting topic, and Brycsyn, you're a parent, right? You know what I'm saying? You have how many children?
3.
3, and one of them just recently graduated from college, right?
Yeah, she just graduated from.
Right. Congratulations.
So we are very proud of her, and she's going back to Clark Atlanta for her master's in the fall.
Awesome.
Cool.
And so I'm gonna let Bobby take the reins, because this topic right here, we're talking about career choices as helping parents guide the career choice. So Bobby, go ahead, take it out.
Sure. So for the parenting topic for today, one of the things I had talked about was with my high schooler, I bring in a lot of parenting topics that I deal with on the daily. And so these things aren't just things that just kind of pop up in my mind. It's because I'm walking those shoes right now. And so right now we're talking about helping to guide your children into the correct career choice for them. And sometimes that takes an outside perspective, even if it might hurt your kid a little bit. I'm not talking about dream bashing. I'm saying, hey, let's be realistic about what expectations are being set, because if you want to do this is something where you need to take these extra steps in school in order to meet whatever guidelines it is that are going to be required by this career that you want to step into. And so just recently I had to have a hard conversation with my daughter. She's 16. I have 6 kids. I have 5 girls and a boy. I have a 6-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 16-year-old that still live here with me. And so talking to my daughter, and as I've raised her, I've noticed that she does not like learning. And if I'm like, hey, you should go and do this, she's like, nah, I'm good because that looks hard. And so she immediately gives up. And it's irritating to me because I'm the exact opposite. I'm like, yo, new knowledge, let's bring it. And that's just me. That's not her. And so she tells me recently, hey, Mom, I think I want to be a teacher. And I'm like, hold on a second. You don't really like to learn, but you want to teach other kids to learn? So I was like, I want you to be like, I ain't trying to dream bash you. At first she was like, oh, I want to be an interior designer. I was like, hey, that's fantastic. But you know what? Use that as your side hustle. And the only reason why I say that is because that's a very niche market. And you're not going to get typical, middle class folks to get interior designers to come into their homes. I said, but I think that's a great side hustle. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I still think that you should absolutely pursue that, but let's take that as a side job and not be a main job for now. If it eventually develops into that, fantastic. But for right now, let's focus on what our careers are, what our career goals could be in order to be realistic. I want our kids to be realistic about their career choices and stuff. And so I've been told several things of like, oh, don't tell your daughter she shouldn't be a teacher. I didn't. All I did was ask, are you sure this is what you want to do? Only because I'm seeing you don't like to learn yourself, but how are you going to teach children to love to learn and to read when you don't like doing those things yourself? And she just kind of stayed quiet. And I was like, just outside perspective, just asking, how should we be leaning? Because she leads praise and worship at our church for the youth. And actually this Sunday she's nervous because she goes into practice all week long this week at the church because they're doing a youth takeover for our church. And so our church sees about 1,400 people every single Sunday between our 4 services. And so she'll be singing all 4 services. And then my husband's the lead guitarist for praise and worship. And so he'll be up on stage with her. But she's actually the lead singer. And so I had told her, continue to pursue your little career in music and stuff. And then on the weeks that she's not serving on stage on platform at church, she actually works in the coffee shop that we have at our church. And so she does barista skills. And so I had told her ain't nothing wrong with that to help get you through college.
Nothing.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I said, you're still working hard. You're still learning to kind of get your feet wet a little bit in the world, but let's be realistic about our career choices and stuff. And so I wanted to kind of open up the floor and kind of see and get a feel for the room to see what it is that, we're doing as parents to help guide our kids into the career choice that they want to see for themselves.
So, Brie, it's on you because you the guest.
Okay, first I'm gonna say this: 16 is a hard age.
Yeah.
I wanted to kill my 16-year-old, and now she's a successful college graduate. We have to be really careful when we try to push our kids into a space that we would like them to be in, and we kind of have to take a step back and just kind of guide them. And you were very right to say, how are you going to be a teacher and you don't like to learn? Because that gives her something to think about. But it also kind of shuts her down. So we want to always make sure that, at least for me, that you're the mom, so you know what their gifts and talents are. You know what their predilections are. You know what makes them get out of the bed in the morning. You know, like the things that they like, the things that they don't like. Mm-hmm. So I think the best way to handle that is kind of like how you're doing. Show her what she's doing well. Praise her for what she's doing well. And at 16, you don't have to have it figured out because there are people in their 40s that don't have it figured out.
I told her too. I didn't know what I wanted to do until I was maybe like 25, maybe.
You might make a good teacher because in all reality, a teacher should be someone that loves kids. A teacher should be someone that loves to see them grow and see them learn and see them do all of the things. They don't have to read every book that there is. They don't have to be a master of their subject. They just have to be able to guide somebody else.
That's funny because she said exactly that. She's like, no, I ain't doing high school. I'll be with the little kids. Like, you can find me in kindergarten and first grade. And I said, you know what? More power to you. Just make sure that you're selecting classes in high school that coincide with the career path you want to take, because the last thing you want to do is she's about to step into her junior year of school and told her this ain't playtime. You're going to be competing. Now, she gets free college here in the state of Texas because she was adopted, but I've had her since she was 2. But it's funny because my biological children are brown and my daughter's like white. And most people think that I birthed her. And I'm like, no, actually the brown ones are mine. My biological children. And so she gets a lot of compliments. People are like, oh, you look like your mom. And she's like, hold on a second. I'm like, girl, just be quiet and be like, you know what? Thank you that I got these good looks. No, I'm just playing. No, but really though, she's like, oh, I think I can see myself teaching like the little kids. Mm-hmm. I can be good with the little kids. I don't think I can deal with these teenagers. I'm like, man.
And that takes special soul to have all those little kids I look up to. And she's right. She doesn't have to know everything. She just has to have a love for wanting to teach them. And even when you get ready for college, if she just takes her basic high school classes and she passes all those really good grades and she goes to school, her education program is going to be mostly about early childhood education.
Yes.
It's going to be learning how to deal with kids, learning how to deal with parents, learning how to deal within the educational system. And then from teaching, it's just learning as you go. I used to work daycare, so I have a heart for anybody that wants to work with little ones because it's work. It is a lot of work.
I think as a parent, we want our children to be taught by people who want to be in the classroom with them, because
definitely want them to be taught by people.
That's not an easy career path.
And nobody
told her that
for the money. So
yeah, because she was asking me today. She asked a friend of ours who's a teacher. She's like, "How much money do you make?" And I was like, "First off, we don't ask adults that, ma'am. We don't.
We don't."
And so I was.
It's a little rude.
Hold on a second. Let's be more selective in how we're wording our things.
I think she didn't mean ask people. That. I think they should ask people. My kids.
But she was like, "Do you make good money?" And I said, "Now here we go, because that's a loaded question. There are some people who define good money as, $2 million a year, and there's other people who are like, bro, if I'm making $2,000 a month, that's good for me. You know what I mean? So it just depends on what your idea of good money is." And if she's like, I'm okay. I was like, oh.
Well, as a kid, when you say $2,000 a month, $2,000 a month to a kid is like, "Hey, I'm rich, bitch." You know what I'm saying? They out. You know what I'm saying? But if you know what I'm saying, because they don't have cares, they don't even, some of them times they don't even, not all of them, but they don't have the understanding of responsibilities, payments, things of nature, things was going on. Because I remember my son and my daughter, which they're twins, they were like, I was like, "Here's $100. I was telling them, like, I'm gonna give you $100 so you can go to the mall and you guys can go shopping." They're 13, and I was just gonna sit in the mall, let them do something, while they just get them that sense of independency, so I could see where they're going at it, right? And the reason why I did that is because I want them to understand the value of money before thinking about the career that they choose to go into. Yes, you may go into a career for the love of it, but you also have to sustain a certain lifestyle that you may want. You know what I'm saying? If you want to wear Jordans and you want to wear designer clothes, daddy ain't paying for that. Me and mommy ain't paying for that. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to have to get you a job where you can have a job with perks and benefits, not just benefits, but perks and benefits. Because when I was 20, when I got my first job, where I could be able to literally live off of my wants, my needs, and my experiences, and then pay my mom's rent, right? And that was enough for me at the time, you know what I mean? But we're dealing in different times, money is different, and I'm like, I see the skill set in my kids, and I see where they can go in it in their career. But first, I'm like, okay, well, the gifts is going to ultimately always be cultivating as they're alive. But right now, financial literacy to me is like number one.
Yeah, you definitely need to teach financial literacy, and that begins. We started our kids even as toddlers. If I give you 50 cents, 25 cents goes into the big bank, and we watch the big bank fill up, and then we take the big bank and we put it into a real bank, and we see how much money is in there. You want to go Christmas shopping? Well, in July, you need to start putting up $1, $2, $3 a week. And then by Christmas time, we'll see how much you have. That's your budget. That's what you're going to spend. And it's just making real life stuff fun for kids, but at the same time, showing them that things are expensive. I tell my girls, since I have 3 girls, they can live with me forever. But there's a cost to that. They're still going to have to pay some type of rent. They're going to have to do some type of thing, like, my daughter's in college. The only bill that she had was her cell phone bill, but she had to make sure her cell phone bill was paid every month. If she gets a car, she's going to have to pay her insurance. So it's teaching them responsibility, but also not handicapping them, thinking that they can rely on you for always.
Right.
We've had if you look at our previous episodes, we talked about that too, about accountability, holding your kids accountable, because if not, what it does is end up creating a sense of entitlement.
Yeah.
That somehow they are now entitled to the money that you worked for, because you've already walked that road and you don't need to go down it again. So last week we had talked about, do you or do you not help your kid buy their first car and what factors go into that. Mm-hmm. How are we teaching kids to, and all of us seem to kind of have a little bit of everything in the pot last week. And so I think Jimo had mentioned it just depends on the kid. Sometimes you have a kid who's like, oh, I'm going to expect you to give me this kind of car and blah, blah, blah. And they begin to like already create that sense of entitlement, that attitude. But like, look, you're about to drive what you can afford, whatever that looks like, whatever your budget is. Now, again, if you're not prioritizing your finances correctly, then that looks like a you problem. And I wish it wasn't. I wish it could be, you know, a we problem. I wish it could be a little bit better. But I've also told my daughter, too, if you don't sustain a good relationship with me, you can't come and be expecting me to come in and do things for you. There's no relationship. If you don't talk to me, except to come and ask me for money, there's a big chance I'm not going to just come and just roll you out. That doesn't mean I don't love you, but it's just like, is this what it's going to be like? You only come and see me whenever there's money involved and not just because you actually want to see how I'm doing. I don't know. What do you think about that? Right?
I think that it is about relationship, and you're born into a family, and your family by accident. You know, your blood by accident, but your family by choice. And that's why we see a lot of people lose touch with people that are blood related because they don't have relationship. You can't walk with people if you don't know who they are. You have to be able to separate what you think you know about them versus who they really are. And, you know, when I wrote my first book, that's what it was about. It was about removing yourself from the boxes that allowed other people to put you in, that you put them in. I mean, it wasn't until I lived with my mom as an adult that we learned to deal with each other as adults, as people, as not just mom and daughter, but as, okay, this is Robin, this is Brycsyn, this is who we are, this is our likes, our dislikes. And you could make a relationship. You know, I have sisters that are blood, and I have sisters that, you know, are family by choice. And so when we build those relationships, it has to be based on those relationships. It's the same thing with your kids. I can love you. I can, you know, I gave birth to you. Of course, I'm going to love you forever, always, no matter. But I don't have to like you. You don't have to like me. So if there's no mutual if there's no mutual respect, if we haven't cultivated that, dude, it's your life. Do what you want to do. But if you want to, you know, have a relationship with me, and I'm your mom and your friend, and I'm someone that, you know, I can rely on you, you can rely on me, I have no problem helping you do and accomplish whatever it is you want to do. And you're right. It depends on the kid. If I have a kid who's more responsible and I see them doing something and I'm giving them a leg up versus giving them a handout, I'm more than ready and willing to do that versus something that's sitting on their ass and like, just my mom's going to take care of it. No, I'm not going to take care of it. Yeah,
no, that entitlement attitude ain't working for me. But but you know, all jokes aside, I told my daughter, like, if I really see her putting her best foot forward, I don't mind helping her out, because God knows I didn't have that. My husband didn't have, you know what I mean? Like we just got what we could get in the moment. But one day I was talking to her and she says, Mom, you know, I don't know if I've ever told you, but I think you're probably the most successful person that I know.
Wow.
I said, no, I don't think you've ever told me that. She goes, yeah, not only that, Mom, you've got to be the hardest working person that I know.
Did you cry?
Oh, thank you.
Did you cry?
Not in front of her. I did. Not in front of her. I did not. I've spent the last 17 and a half years of my adult life in the Army. I'm a veteran, just like Geronimo. And so I have a hard time crying in front of people because I'm like, I need to be. Like, but you know, being a girl mom, sometimes I bring some of those things out of me. But I own 2 businesses and I work full time, like 45 hours a week. And I work very early in the morning so I can get off of work about 2:00. And I come home, I cook, I clean, so I'm present. And so on the parenting topics, we like to hone in on where we are with our children today and how we're becoming better parents, because God knows I didn't have good parents. My husband didn't have the best of parents. And so we try to step in and be what we didn't have, not give you what we didn't have, but be what we needed in that moment.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave one party out of it, because look at Dr. Poole. He over there like,
oh, Donald, I'm sorry.
I ain't a parent. But I do want to get his perspective on a parent that we all know that has a relationship with their son, and some may think it like may say like, you know what I'm saying, he was very important of guiding him into the position that he is, like LeBron James and Bronny James, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know Dr. Poole is familiar with sports. How do you think, Dr. Poole, did LeBron James usher in Bronny into the NBA? Do you think he was actively involved with being a good parent and bringing him into the league like that? What is your take on it? Because I mean, you guys got some great points, but I want to include everybody in this topic because it's very important.
So I could comment on the topic itself. We don't have to transition or pivot to LeBron James. I have some thoughts on this topic. I'm surprised nobody, especially you military people, mentioned anything about a military option. You know, why aren't you guys programming your children to know that, hey, you know, if you are having a hard time figuring it out, we always got a U.S. military that has plenty of opportunities for you to come and get an education for free, get trained for free, get disciplined, and then you could come out of it with something that could benefit you in life also. Donald, and then I also think that there are pros and then I think that there are also pros and cons that you could weigh out with your children when they're thinking about an alternative career path to help them understand more of the consequences and perks of what type of field it is that they're going into. But I know for me, not really being able to figure it out as a teenager, what I want to do with my life, it was nice to know that I had that military card in my back pocket that, hey, if worse come to worse and I don't figure it out in life, I have a path where they will teach me and train me everything I need to learn in order to succeed in life and in society. And so let's not count out the military for those kids. Some kids, you know, if you can't figure it out, go learn some technical stuff in the Air Force or be a jarhead in the Marines, go learn how to jump off of a boat in the Coast Guard, and you might have some fun while you're doing it too. But as far as LeBron James go, let me tell you, okay, now we can talk about LeBron James, all right? I feel like LeBron James, no doubt, has major power. And he is not the only NBA superstar who has a child who is playing basketball also. I think that because he is one of the greatest, that he was able to make a demand that, hey, I want to do this in order for you to utilize my talents. And he has that right because he's earned that right. But I think the leverage that he used was totally unmerited. You know, if this is the new precedent for being able to join the NBA or the NFL or any pro sport is just based off of your last name, I don't think it's necessarily fair. But his game, he has an opportunity. You know, little Bronny James has all the opportunity in the world to prove himself, and we'll see if he does or not.
I wouldn't want to be in my dad's, like, you know what I mean, like not necessarily in his footsteps, but was in his shadow.
Right.
If I'm going to get somewhere, it's based off of my own merit. It's because I have the skills that pays the bills.
No, I get
that.
I don't think LeBron used his influence. I think that first off, Bronny was the last pick of the last. He was the last of the last of the last.
I heard that.
If LeBron really used his influence, he would not have been the last of the last of the last. And even as that, to be the last pick for any draft, you have to be better than thousands and thousands of other kids. And so I think he definitely earned his spot. I think that there was a little bit of politics played, that he got to play with his dad on the Lakers. But I think that, you know, for somebody to have a heart attack and then to come back from that heart attack and still want to play the sport, that takes heart. That takes something in them that really loves the game. So whether he played for the Lakers or another team, if Bronny really wanted to play ball, he'd be playing ball. And like Corey said, he's not the only son of an NBA player that is playing. There are lots and lots of sons of NBA players, WNBA players that are playing in the league right now. And we all know that.
I don't know too many of them that have as much hype as Bronny James, though. Can you name who they are?
He can't help who his dad is. He can't help who his dad is.
So I'm just saying, I think that LeBron James has a little bit more influence than a lot of other players. And I think he wasn't afraid to use it. But that's just my opinion. You know, I know we can.
I'm sure he did. But I'm just trying to say that for
How
Bernie,
else
it's
do you
not
get your
fair.
son to ball on the same team as you in your last year? You know, you said, hey, look, you're going to get my son
If
here
it was
or I'm
me,
not going to
if it
play
was
for
me,
you.
I would use that influence. I put my daughters in all of our music videos. So
Oh yeah.
it's generational. It's
I
legacy.
want to be in a music video.
I don't knock the hustle, you know, all
You can be a
respect,
little,
but
you can be in
man,
the building. I'm like Beyonce. If Blue Ivy wants to dance, she can come dance. I got
Come dance.
my kids coming in the house right now. So, you know, I released a single that's going to be out in a couple months, and my kids play me in the video. So
Hey.
That's cute.
I'm all for, hey, if I can get you a spot, I'm gonna get you a spot. I'm not gonna be like, oh no, do it yourself.
yeah, no doubt. Good
And
parenting.
you know,
He's a good dad.
He's
and
a
I
good
know we about to wrap it up because it's about that time. However, I do want to say this. There's nothing wrong with opening the door for your son that nobody opened the door for you. That's all I want to say about that. You know what I'm saying? Because
Amen,
at
brother.
18 years old, LeBron James, in order for him to be that good at that age, he had to sacrifice a whole lot. And so with his sacrifices, like you said, Bobby, what are the 3 S's? Go ahead, break it down.
Salvation, struggle, and sacrifice.
If he didn't know his salvation, not saying does he do, but the struggle and in sacrifice, he had to make, right? He had to make those sacrifices. And if I make a sacrifice that I see a big benefit, I'm gonna be like, hey, I broke the hinge off this door. Everybody come in before they fix it. Because that's another form of gatekeeping. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's to spin it back over to Brycsyn. All right, so we about to end this thing because you know what I'm saying, it's about that time. Brycsyn, as our guest, let the people who's tuned in know how they can get in contact with you, services you provide, and all the things that you do.
Right now, you can contact me via Instagram or via my website. It's sirensinks.com or at Brycsyn or at sirensinks on Instagram for all my Instagram babies. I'm also on TikTok. You can Google my name, Brycsyn Hampton. It's rare, so it comes right up. DM me. You can get at me.
Hey. Now, Bobby, talk to the people. Let them know what you got going on.
Hey, what's up, everybody? So I'm the owner of Patriot Restorations, LLC. We are a disabled veteran-owned small business, a DBOSB here in the state of Texas, focusing on water and mold mitigation. So if you've got a busted pipe and it has caused water damage inside of your home, please understand it takes less than 48 hours for mold to build up. Please give us a call. Let us know how we can help you. Let's get a claim going so we can make sure that you, your family, your home are taken care of and that you're healthy moving forward as we continue to mitigate this stress that's happened in your home.
Awesome. And Dr. Poole, our pool engineer, talk to us. Tell us what the people can get from you.
Yep, we're doing pool services and spa services. And we're doing it for about 10 years now, 8 years on my own independent, licensed and insured. So if you guys want, you could reach me at d.r_pool and spa service at gmail.com. Or you can find me on any of these social media plugs. You could just type in the DR Pool right there in that corner and it should pop up, or Donald Rumpf, Don Marcus. You'll see my face and you could add me. And if you just have questions, I would love to be able to just answer some questions for you. Yes.
Thank you.
All right. And my brother from another mother who ain't on here right now, if you're in the San Antonio area and you're looking for some product, you want to go ahead and tap into Mr. Tuck Van Gogh. He has rental property out there in San Antonio. And that could be found at tech_Von_Go. We'll put all that in the description. And you can get you some nice property to rent while you out there in San Antonio, Texas. However, if you in LA and you already know who it is, it's your main man with the game plan. You want to get into podcasting. You're looking to go ahead and get your Instagram, your TikTok, your views up and all that stuff. And if you got a product that's just not getting seen, tap in with your main man from the game plan in the mainland, Corey Giovanni, and I got you. It's your main man, and we're out.
Peace. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Follow the banner.